Welcome to the 208 Fantasy Football Show. It is May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Today, we're going to talk about rookie redraft rankings, a little bit of NFL news, and some trades reviews. So let's get started right now. Justin, how we doing? Good to see you.
It's good. It's nice to have some decent weather in Idaho. I mean, it goes back and forth. I feel like it's just been super windy, but we got like above 70-degree day today, so that's kind of nice to be outside.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, it's deceivingly warm out there. It's very overcast. You're like looking at it, going, "Ooh, it looks bitterly cold out there," and it's not bad. I think 68 degrees is what I saw when we were out and about today. So,
Real excited about my lawn today. Real excited.
Yes, lots of news in the NFL. Lots of stuff going on there. Let's jump into that.
What's going on?
What do you got for us, Justin?
You kind of had to expect some free agent sightings right after the draft. I mean, a lot of teams will wait until after the draft to sign whatever they feel like they have some holes in. So to kind of hit on the fantasy stuff, OBJ is going to the Dolphins to be their wide receiver 3. Again, they drafted Taj Washington, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I mean, I don't think OBJ is an ad unless you're in a deeper league. Like, he's been super wishy-washy the past couple of years. The Chase Claypool to the Bills is super funny because they gave him 14, and I was just dying. They gave him Stephon Diggs number, like, I think fresh off of Stephon Diggs. So I was like, it's kind of a big deal. They gave that number away to him.
Yeah, and I'm staying completely away from him. Like, not even close. Like, he's undraftable.
As a Bear fan, I get that. I don't think he'll do anything there. He's probably the wide receiver 5 or 6. He might be a special teams guy. And then DJ Chark to the Chargers might be the most interesting one out of those 3 wide receivers to the Chargers, just because Chargers wide receiver depth isn't super great. Again, they have Josh Palmer, Ladd McConkey, and Quentin Johnston. So, again, a bunch of wide receiver 4 to 3 ads. I don't know if that have too much of an impact on fantasy football. I think the biggest one, though, is Zeke. Going back to the Cowboys, as Matt talked about last week, we don't know what the Cowboys were doing. They didn't have one running back. Zeke had a very bad year. I think he had one of the worst rushing percentages behind the Patriots' offensive line. Again, the Cowboys did lose a lot on their offensive line, so I don't know how much of an impact that's going to have, but he's going to get opportunities to run the ball.
I agree. Zeke's going to get some opportunities. He wasn't very productive last year. I think he had one of his highest receiving turnouts last year. I think that's what carried his fantasy value. But interesting, if you're out there looking in Cowboy circles on X, right, and just kind of listening, there's conspiracy theories going on about what the Cowboys are going to do, and essentially that Jerry Jones just wants to start over, and he'll pay Lamb. He's going to pay Micah, and the rest he's just going to let go, and then try to trade up in the NFL draft to get a quarterback. That's what they're all thinking. I'm like, I'm still not trying to. I'm trying to. Their team's going to be good. It's not going to be terrible. I don't know how they're going to be able to move up that high. But anyway,
they still have a ton of talent. Like, I can see this Shador connection.
Yes, yeah, me too. And that was the other piece I didn't mention, that they were going to bring in Belichick as the head coach. So I told you, lots of conspiracy theory stuff going on in the Cowboy world. Again, it's interesting to see what they're trying to do over there. Very good team. I really think they were frustrated after their exit the NFL playoffs. I mean, I know all the fan base, all the coaches were like, wow, this was rough. So, but anyway, we'll see what happens.
Yep. And then the schedule release is May 9th. Pretty excited for that. They did do the teaser thing, like the thing that stood out on Falcons Twitter. The first thing you see is Bijan and Justin Jefferson. So maybe that's week 1. You get to see Kirk Cousins and go play the Vikings again. Maybe I'll put him against JJ McCarthy if they start him. That'd be super fun.
Yeah, that would be fun, actually, see what the kickoff, how that goes. But Yeah, lots of news, more news to come. You know, we were last time we broadcast about a week ago, and there's NFL news happening all the time. Well, we're definitely up to date on it. We're just trying to get out here and see you guys once a week. So, and just have a blast with this stuff. So, that's the news. Anything else to add, Justin, before we move on to the next segment?
Just be on the lookout for. They're doing rookie mini camp right now. Like, just be on the lookout for like nuggets out there about guys performing. I know a report came out that Marshawn Lloyd could get the majority of the third down work with the Packers, which is huge. So you usually get a lot of intel out of those and see how those rookies are doing with how they are adjusting to the NFL life. So a lot of those teams start either last week or the end of this week. So just be on the lookout for news with that. Again, whatever news we get, like we'll post it on here as well.
Yep, for sure. And that is a great segue into kind of the meat and potatoes, no pun intended there. It'll make sense here in a second, of our next segment. And really, we're just going to focus on our rookie draft here, Superflex rookie dynasty rankings, what Justin and I have gone through, and just trying to navigate to give you guys some insight to what we think will happen. As I get things pulled up here, but and just kind of some selections, where you should go get guys, where and what makes sense. So let me get this pulled up here.
And Superflex is also it changes the dynamics between regular dynasty draft and Superflex just because quarterbacks are so important. Realistically, you should play 2 quarterbacks. You shouldn't be playing 2 flexes in a Superflex league. So, like, those quarterbacks just get bumped up. It's almost like the regular draft where we saw 6 quarterbacks in the first 12 picks. Like, quarterbacks are going to get pushed up the board. Like, a Michael Penix in a regular dynasty draft, he might go 3rd or 4th round. Like, in a in a Superflex draft, he might go, like, he's probably going to go round 2. I wouldn't be surprised if people are picking him at the 112. Like, people are going to put a big incentive on quarterbacks just because they are worth so much.
Yep, agreed. And I think that's a good way to point out, to keep it simple, from a single quarterback rookie dynasty and a Superflex dynasty rookie draft. Quarterbacks, just think quarterbacks all that first round. Almost all your quarterbacks go first round. We might have a little bit different today, but in general, that's kind of how it works. So for you guys new to Superflex dynasty or dynasty in general, that's the way it works. Just bump all your quarterbacks up to that first round or in higher levels for sure. So let me explain kind of what we going on. So that first round is the green, right? That is, we're Idaho folks, right? We're Idaho people here. That first one is your loaded baked potato. Every Idahoan loves your loaded baked potato. It's got all the fixins, right? So that's what we want. Your second round is your mashed potatoes. You can't go wrong with mashed potatoes. They're good to have. They're hard to mess up. And they're delicious. The third one here is your potato salad. This is not your grandma's potato salad. This is your store-bought potato salad. It'll be okay. It's not the first choice, but it'll work. What we're doing, throwing some stuff out at the barbecue last minute. And then the last round, they're not terrible. They're not something you don't want. And they're just kind of go to, yeah. In a pinch, I'll do some tater tots. Right. So that is how we're going to rank these today. And you can see our first one right out of the gate, Justin, is Marvin Harrison. Again, first round, there is debate on whether in everywhere, Marvin Harrison at 1 or a quarterback there as well. I think we both agree either one is reliable. We both feel, just based on what we see here, Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably a can't miss this year.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Again, a lot of this is team-based stuff. Like, if you feel like you have the quarterbacks to be okay, then, like, go after Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison is just like a can't-miss prospect. Like, he should eat that offense. He should be DeAndre Hopkins when Kyler was playing with him. He should be the no-doubt one in that offense, and they should throw the ball a ton. He's going to eat that offense. He's going to be a top 12 guy for the next 8 years, and that's set in your lineup to forget it.
Yep, and don't forget about McBride back there. He's going to open up some stuff for Marvin Harrison, and they'll feed off one another. So right out of the gate here, we both agree. Marvin Harrison, we'll get on to the second one here. There we go. And
again, like Marvin Harrison doesn't have to compete too much with targets as well. He is competing with Michael Wilson as well, who who had a decent rookie year. Trey McBride again, that like Matt mentioned, he'll get a few targets, maybe 60 to 80. And then you have Greg Dortch, who is more of a gadgety guy. If you guys do remember, they did get rid of Rondale Moore, who got traded to the Falcons. So again, there's a lot of vacated targets on that offense. Again, the person that's probably going to be most competing with is Trey McBride. So.
Yep, agreed. Sorry, just a little technical glitch. Got it switched. We are good to go now. So our second overall pick just coming out of the gate is Williams, is Caleb. In my mind, Caleb is the best, at least NFL ready quarterback. He's got all the tools. There is some leadership questionable question marks in my mind. He's probably a guy I'm going after. We have a draft later today, and I do have the 101. He's probably going to be my 101 unless something happens.
What a spoiler, man!
I know, right?
In the dark about this. Sheesh.
So, however, it's possible that I do something different. It's possible, but I think
Michael
you see
Penix.
my hat here. Yeah, exactly. I go with Penix 101. No. But anyway, Williams is also in that green. He's a must-have for sure. So anything to add, Justin?
Caleb Williams has such a high floor. Like again, I don't know if he's going to be top 12. I think he'll be top 15. Like again, the rushing aspect isn't built in for him quite that much, but he does have a really good offense around him. I think Jaden Daniels definitely has more of a boom bust. So to go back and forth on Caleb and Jaden, but I think Caleb Williams definitely has more staying power. Like I feel like he can last probably a little bit longer than Jaden, where Jaden has a probably higher bust rate. Maybe I always put it into this. I always bring up Justin Fields. Justin Fields is a really good fantasy football quarterback. He is not a good NFL quarterback. And if you're not a good NFL quarterback, you're probably not going to have enough. You're not going to be on the field. So Justin Fields not playing this year, like that could be kind of the same situation with Jaden Daniels, where maybe he gets hurt a lot more. Maybe he's just rushing a ton. But Caleb should stay in the field for 8 to 12 years and be super consistent.
Yep. And the Bears have done something they have not done in a long time. I'm telling from experience here. This is the best offensive weapons they've had around their quarterback, and I don't know how long. It's polls love him, don't dislike him, whatever. He has done a really good job of putting weapons around Caleb Williams, which they have not done for other quarterbacks, including Justin Fields. So he's a kid that will, I agree with you, is just ready for the next level. He sees the field very, very well, and it's not like he can't run. He can, but you're right. He's going to be more of that. Get the ball out to your playmakers and go from there.
He runs to extend. He's kind of like that Patrick Mahomes. Everybody compares to the Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is a good athlete, but he doesn't run to run. He runs to set up those deep balls, those deep shots, those big crossers. So that's kind of the same situation with Caleb.
Yep. Perfect. Go out there and get Caleb Williams. See, we're all in agreement at the 208. Neighbors number 3. Justin, you want to start this one?
This one, I think I'm so back and forth. I try to run a situation back with Matt because I feel like he's got to talk me off the ledge. Like I've been so back and forth with Neighbors. I feel like he's gotten a lot of bad press for just dumb reasons, and I've kind of bought into that, where I've kind of swung completely opposite way, where I was like, man, this kid's a good football player. He's gonna eat. He's not gonna have to compete for touches. Like, even if Daniel Jones is not good, I think they'll find a way to manufacture touches for him to be able to get the ball. And if worst comes to worst, they're drafting pretty high, which I think they will, and they draft a quarterback, then that's fine. I think Neighbors is a guy that he's going to elevate quarterback play. He's going to be that Stephon Diggs when he went to the Bills. He's going to elevate Josh Allen a little bit. Not to say Josh Allen wasn't talented or anything, but I feel like he can elevate quarterback play, make them look substantially better, and fill in those little 5-yard slants and take them 80 and just help your quarterback out as much as possible.
Nope, I agree. The reservation, where we're all a little bit nervous about him, he's going to the Giants. The Giants don't have everybody's worried about Daniel Jones. They really don't have a running game. So that's the negative side. Now, the positive side is that exact same thing. It would not surprise me if Neighbors leads the league in targets. They are just going to throw him the ball and devise ways to get him the ball, slants, reverses, goes, whatever they can possibly do. The kid can flat out play. If you just go watch tape, I go on YouTube and watch his highlights. He can play. I know he was on a very good LSU team with some other good receivers, but they're going to give him lots of targets. And then in fantasy football, a lot of times targets rule. So I have also the 103 pick in the draft here in a few hours. I'm not sure. I go back and forth with the next guy we're going to talk about of which way to go here. So I think Neighbors will be in the future just another long-term wide receiver. And this year's going to be tough. I don't know that he'll be a top 15 guy overall. It's very possible just based off targets, but I just don't know how good that offense is going to be. They'll be playing from behind a lot. So I think, Justin, you mentioned earlier when we were talking, but he's probably a boomer bust guy from week to week. He's going to have massive games, and then the other games he's not going to do much. So
he'll get a lot of those garbage yards at the end of the fourth quarter where he's catching the ball for 5 yards and they're just trying to get down the field. So I mean, again, Agreed. Just bet on the talent, bet on the draft capital. I mean, you're a stud if you go top 10 as a wide receiver in the NFL draft. So I think he's a pretty safe bet that he's going to be a pretty consistent wide receiver.
Agreed. On to the next, JD5. This is what I was just talking about. I'm debating that number 3. Do I go Neighbors or JD5? Justin alluded to a little bit ago. It depends on your roster construct. Where are you at? What do you need? JD5 is a guy that you love. He led college in passing last year, won Heisman. He's a super playmaker. He's going on a Washington team that I think he will do pretty well. He's got some weapons around him. He's a running quarterback, and in fantasy football, that puts him up a tier for sure. And on the same token, I say that same sentence, you do worry about he's a running quarterback. I wish he would slide a little bit more. He's going to have to learn to get out of bounds or take, and not get beat up. He's not the biggest guy, but he's not the littlest guy either. I think last time I saw him, he was like 218 or something like that. So longevity is kind of tough. I'm not sure where he'll land, but we'll see. But I do like him a lot. I think this is a great spot at that 3-4 turn for sure in Superflex.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Matt kind of hit on everything there. It's so funny how similar parallels that him and Robert Griffin have.
Yes.
They wore the same suit. They won a Heisman. Their college teams were good, not great, and they just kind of came out of nowhere. Jane Daniels feels like he's been playing college football for 7 years. But again, if you want to bet on a huge ceiling like a Lamar Jackson situation, I think this is the guy you take. I wouldn't scoff at anybody taking JD5 over Caleb Williams. I get it. I totally understand. Chase those yards. That can be such a difference maker. Josh Allen is such a difference maker. Lamar Jackson is such a difference maker. Even Justin Fields not passing for a ton of yards is huge. And Daniel Jones 2 years ago when I think he threw 21 touchdowns and had 12 picks, but he finished as a top 8 quarterback just because he was running the ball. So if you have a quarterback that can run for over 1,000 yards like Jay Daniels did, he's going to win you a lot of fantasy games. He might put up a stinker where he gets 12 points, but he might go out there and drop you a couple 40s.
Yep. Easy. And if not more, right? He could do that 5 times. So we just don't know. So yeah, don't agree with 100%. Jane Daniels for sure in our 4 spot here. Is a good pickup. Can't go wrong here in the Superflex Dynasty draft. I'll turn over to you for Odunze. Your thoughts on Odunze, where he's at. Odunze is a interesting one for sure.
He's hard. So I compare him I guess not the player, but the situation I compare so much to JSN last year. I feel like when JSN came out last year, I was so pumped because he looked so good in that. I remember that Rose Bowl game. He was just balling out, and he comes out and he got drafted by the Seahawks, and I'm like, I don't know if I love that fit because he'll never be the one. You got DK there, you got Tyler Lockett, who's really good, and that's kind of with Odunze is there too as well with Keenan Allen and DJ Moore there. Again, you're gonna have to be patient, I think. One advice I would say for those JSN managers that are getting kind of antsy about what JSN is, go out there and send them a trade offer tonight if you have a draft, because they might take picks over JSN. I think JSN's still that guy. Again, Odunze, I don't think he's going to be anything crazy. He might be a wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3 this year, just because he's going to compete so much with so many different guys in that offense. DeAndre Swift catches the ball really well. Cole Kmet catches the ball really well. They're going to have a bunch of guys that catch the ball. Again, be patient with Odunze. Like, I think he's a really good player. I think he can be Devontae Adams-esque. Like, he's gonna ball. Like, again, you're gonna have to be patient. It might not be this year. It might not be next year. He might never be the number one on that offense because of DJ Moore, but I feel like he is a good prospect to take a bet on.
Yeah. So yeah, you nailed everything I said. So, or was thinking anyway. Keep in mind when we do rookie dynasty drafts, very few rookies have impact right away, right? Just in general, you are drafting for the future. The reason why Odunze is so high on our rookie dynasty ranking is exactly what you mentioned. He's going to be that guy. Remember, you got DJ Moore, you got Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's on a 1-year deal. He's probably gone after this year, most likely, right? Then Odunze slides in that he's going to get more. He's going to get more work. It would not surprise me mid-season if he gets more work, but don't be frustrated if you draft him now and then nothing happens. You're like, it's going to happen. Him and Caleb are already starting to build rapport. Odunze is a very good wide receiver. You're drafting patience right here, 100% all day, every day, with the hopes and the belief that he's going to be the guy eventually, or at least get, could he be 80 catches, 90 catches, 1,200 yards, and 10 TDs later? Yeah, yes, he very well could be. So the patience and the drafting on this one for sure. On to the next. There we go. Mr. Worthy. Justin, this is your guy. I'll let you take him.
This is such a polarizing prospect for me. When he got drafted, like, again, I'm gonna size this when it comes to receivers. Like, I want my guys big. I think there's a little bit of a hall pass with Worthy. Andy Reid has done some amazing things with small receivers. You can look at Deshaun Jackson and you can look at Tyreek. Again, watching more Xavier Worthy film, like, he's not a one-trick pony. Like, all 3 years, like, he catches 60 balls. He goes over 700 yards. He's caught a lot more touchdowns than I thought he has. He's caught over 20 in his college career, 26 to be exact. I don't think he's just a one route guy. I think he has more route prowess than Brian Thomas. Again, that offense, with not knowing what Rashee Rice is going to do, and again with Marquise Brown being on a 1 year, and they came up to get him. I think that was a big telling sign. They came up with the Bills to go get him. So I'm gonna trust Andy Reid a little bit on this one. This is kind of a tough one where you're in that 5-6 turn. Like, do you take Brian Thomas, who is a prototypical wide receiver that doesn't have a lot of routes to him? He runs a slant and a go. He's very good at it. Don't get me wrong, but I think Xavier Worthy's probably got a little bit more route running to him. Can be a little bit of a Stephon Diggs. He's fast, clearly, and I'm going to trust Patrick Mahomes to get that kid the ball and score touchdowns. And he might not be Tyreek Hill, but he might be pretty dang close.
Nope, agree with 100%. There's a couple of caveat twists. In my mind, he's kind of a boom bust. I think we both maybe agree on that. With the NFL changing their kickoff rules, it would not surprise me if they put Worthy in the back and let him return kicks, because he's going to basically get a running start and try to get some make that field shorter, right, for offenses. So it's possible. I've heard some rumors of that. Put him in on kickoff returns. The other thing that is intriguing, I heard this. I did not come up with it. I just heard it. Andy Reid was kind of comparing him to it just escaped my mind. From Philly, when he was at Philly, the wide receiver, the burner.
Was it Deshaun?
Yes, thank you. Deshaun Jackson. The thing about Deshaun Jackson, who was right, he was your go guy, get him down the field. And Deshaun could run some routes, but what I'm hearing is Worthy is a better route runner than Deshaun. If you're going to compare Worthy to Deshaun in an Andy Reid mindset, he loves the kid. He loves that kid. He's going to utilize him. So you start adding up different things. What you alluded to, draft capital, speed, his route running ability. I think that's why we have him at the 6th spot here. He is worth every bit of the gamble in my mind. I don't know if I would take him any higher than this, but this is a good spot for him.
Yeah. me and Matt kind of went back and forth on this when we were making this. I was like, man, I just think he should be higher. Like,
yeah,
I think he's got a chance to be really special.
Yeah,
I mean, I just trust that offense a lot.
And Rashid Rice is in my mind and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I've just been around the block too many times, but I feel like he's done. If he gets even a half the games, half season suspension, and then then out for the whole year, that mental tough and all the legal stuff he's gonna have to go through, I think it's gonna be really tough on him. It's not hard, or not easy, I should say. So on to the next. Drake May. This is pretty easy one for me. It's a dynasty. It's a Superflex dynasty. He's going to be the starter at some point. I don't know that he'll be the starter day one, but it feels like he'll probably be the starter by mid-season. They're total rebuild mode, and there's some receivers we're going to talk about a little bit later, which we both like. But they're going to get him involved. I think this kid's a quick learner. He's built like a Roethlisberger. He's got a big arm. It's a good foundational piece for the New England Patriots, and I don't know. You gotta draft this kid in the first round. So
I'll keep mine pretty short and simple. Like, I think they're gonna ruin him. I think he's a talented kid, like Matt has alluded to. I think the Patriots are gonna ruin him. I think they're gonna try to put him out there game one, and he's so inconsistent. He'll make a really good throw, then a really bad throw. I think he's gonna be Sam Darnold, and I would not take him in the first round. That is my opinion. I wouldn't touch him. I don't trust that offense. I don't trust that coaching staff. I don't trust anything off the Belichick tree. They just have never been good. I just think they're going to throw him out there. They're going to throw him to the wolves, and he's going to get killed in that division.
Yep. So if I'm a dynasty team, Justin, and I need a quarterback, I am not in that. And let's say Williams and JD5 is gone, right? With May potentially being the right starter right now, do you take a shot on him, or do you wait? Try to get something a little bit later in this.
I think I would wait. I would almost take JJ over him just because I trust the fit. I mean, we've seen so many times where the NFL it's about the opportunity, like where you're at. Like, we've seen really good players get ruined super quick. Like Sam Darnold was talking about this generational prospect, all this and that. He got ruined. He got ruined so fast. So I mean, it's nothing to do with the kid and his talent, but I just don't trust that. I don't trust the Patriots.
Well, let's go on to the next. That's where we differ on that one, but that's okay. That's why we talk about all this stuff, and let's get on to the next. Bowers. Talk about going from one player to the other. I love the talent. I love the talent Bowers brings. I think he's going to be in the league for a very long time. I hate the location. And just like businesses, it's location, and I'm not a fan of this. I think the Raiders are going to run the ball really like Zeus this year. I think he's going to get a ton of workload. They'll probably split Bowers out. It's kind of that slot receiver once in a while because they have Meyer. But I think when you're drafting for the future in these dynasty drafts, I think he's absolutely worth the first round. And where you think you got to go, I think this is a good spot for him at the 8 spot. He could fall to 9-10. You are banking on the generational talent from this kid more than where he is. So that's my thoughts.
For sure. This is kind of the Drake May kind of situation for me. Like, not to be negative Nancy over here, but like the fit is so bad. Like he could have literally went anywhere else. Like Matt said, I think they're gonna run the crap out of the ball. I think they might run the ball more than the Chargers. I feel like that's saying something. I think they're gonna pound the rock, and I just don't know how many targets he will get because they have 3 guys that kind of want to work the intermediate stuff. Brock Bowers is a really good seam runner. He can do that. But Devontae Adams, he likes that intermediate stuff. Hunter Renfrow likes that intermediate stuff. Michael Myers likes that intermediate stuff. I mean, you can't have 4 guys run intermediate routes. Again, like, if he falls in the back end of the first round, I don't mind taking him. Again, tight ends are hard. He might be a guy that you're sitting on for 2 to 3 years till you see him really pop, which is kind of the status quo for tight ends sometimes, unless you're a Sam Laporta who just killed it last year. But again, like Matt said, you're going to have to be patient with him. But if you need someone to contribute right away, I think you might take a wide receiver like a Ladd McConkey, who I think is going to go right away or a Keon's going to go right away. Again, it's about your roster construction.
Yeah. Remember, this kid is a freshman, contributed to a very, very dominant Georgia team. So he's super talented. He's going to get his. It's not like he's not going to do anything. Tight ends historically take a little time to develop in the NFL. That's just kind of how it works. But that window or the gap seems to be shorter after what we saw with the Florida and Kincaid last year. He'll be in there. I think what Justin and I are saying, his ceiling might be a little limited right now, where he's at. So keep that in mind. But we do love the talent. JJM, you want to this your guy?
I like if Drake May would have went to the Vikings, they would have been switched. That's how much of a difference I think it makes. I think Kevin O'Connell is a guy as a coach. I think he's a really good coach. The Vikings have really good personnel around him with Addison and Hawkinson. If when he comes back, hopefully mid-season, he probably be kind of hard. And then Justin Jefferson, who is probably the best retired receiver in the NFL. And then they signed who did they sign? Running back wise. I can't remember.
Off the top of my head, I do not recall.
Maybe Matt could look that up for me, but they signed somebody. It was an older guy. I know it's in division. So I think he has a really good shot at being really good. Again, I don't know if they start him right away because Kevin O'Connell's system is a little more difficult. If they let Sam Darnold run out there for 6 or 7 games, I think it'll be good for him. I think J.J. McCarthy has a huge ceiling. I think he can be Alex Smith plus.
You're referring to Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones, who's a good pass catching back. I think he's still got a little bit left of the tank. But again, I think J.J. McCarthy can be a better version of Alex Smith. And Alex Smith was a pretty good fantasy quarterback with the Chiefs until we saw Patrick Mahomes, who just makes him look terrible. But I think he can be that. I have real high hopes for JJ. I didn't when the draft started, but man, his fit is super fun.
In my mind, May is more talented quarterback. JJM might be the better leader. And all right, you're taking a team to the NFL championship, or I'm sorry, the college championship games. You win a natty, which is awesome. Didn't ask to get to do a whole lot in the Harbaugh offense. But if you go back and look over the 2 years, he certainly got better. I think he's one of the better leaders out of this rookie class, just a natural leader. And I think that'll serve him well. I'm not sure he's going to be asked to do a lot at the NFL level either. I think he's might be a game manager, but he'll be good enough. He is not going to be, in my mind, a top 10 quarterback. He might sneak in there. He'll be in that borderline. You'll never see him as like a top 5, but he'll be good enough in a Superflex lineup. A QB2 would be very reasonable for, and so he's got a pretty good floor and a not real high ceiling. But in my mind, I like May a little bit better than JJ McCarthy from the ceiling standpoint. But you can't go wrong. I think he's a good quarterback, and he's got that question mark around him with very good talent around him. So what can he do? And it's going to be fun to watch.
Yes, let's go. Love Vlad. I might take Vlad at the 107 in a dynasty. If I had it in our league, if I had the 107, I might take Vlad because I think he's gonna. I think he is gonna be the bona fide one there. I think he got taken by the Chargers for a reason. They don't have any competition. I don't think QJ's that guy. Josh Palmer is a stretch guy, and Vlad's just gonna eat underneath. Again, he is St. Brown, but with the Chargers. I think I love Vlad. Love him.
Vlad is an excellent player. I don't love the location. I just don't. He's a second round guy to me. So you and I are split in the middle on this. This is where I go, kid's uber talented. I think he ran a 4.3, 4.35 or something like that. Super fast, super shifty, not a big guy. Possession guy, can catch, he's got great hands, can make people miss a little bit here and there. I just don't like the Harbaugh offense. If you go back and look through if you look at the Chargers offense right now, they just signed Chark, I could say, right? They signed him. There's Ladd. There's Palmer. There's Parham. I think they got another tight end. I can't remember who it is off the top of my head. There's just really nobody. He has a chance to be a guy. They have Rice, which I think Rice may have better draft value than Ladd. And Rice is one of those guys who just is a hard worker. So, and we'll talk about him a little bit later, but I'm not going to fault somebody taking Ladd at the end of the first round. Not at all. He's a talented player. Just don't like the location. They're going to have to throw it to somebody. Right. There's probably garbage time here. I don't know if he's a true wide receiver one, but certainly talented. And again, don't fault people at the end of the first round. So there's my thoughts.
Love me some Ladd. Give it to me all day.
McConkey. I can't do the Irish accent for nothing. So
love it.
on to the next.
There are two tight ends that they did sign. One is Will Dissly, glorified blocking guy, and then Hayden Hurst.
Hayden Hurst, that's who I was thinking of. So Brian Thomas Jr. here at the 9, I believe. At the 11, sorry. At the end of round 1.
He's a tough one for me. Again, I get the pick. Makes sense. Got to see what Trevor Lawrence is. Trevor Lawrence has been so up and down.
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of him. Can he expand his route tree a little bit? He broke out super late, which is kind of concerning. Was he good because he was playing with JD5 and because he was getting less attention than neighbors? I don't know. Again, I would bet on Ladd and Keon probably before him. I think you can't find a lot of 6'4" guys that are that fast and that big. So I think that's the biggest thing with him.
No, agreed. I think he ran the second fastest combine, I believe. Second fastest 40. Uber fast.
His RAS score is ridiculous. It was
super high. It's all going to be with what Trevor Lawrence can do. Trevor Lawrence has to take a step. So you already alluded to it. However Trevor Lawrence does will directly impact Brian Thomas Jr. So if you're willing to take that gamble at the end of the first round, again, man, I like it because I think Trevor Lawrence can be the guy. Then Brian Thomas Jr. is he's gonna eat. He'll fall in behind. I think Kirk is there, if I'm not mistaken. So it's like, okay, they're because they got rid of
Calvin Ridley. They signed
Calvin Ridley.
Davis.
Yeah. So, but there's still plenty to be had there. Again, I don't know if he's a day one guy. He's a guy that's going to develop and grow. You're drafting for future here. He's a big, tall, fast guy. Slants and goes is what he ran at LSU, and he was pretty darn successful at it. So I like him. I think all the check marks are there. Worth the first round if you like him. If what you need him, he's a good gamble. Stamp it. Move on to the next pick.
Keon Coleman, baby.
Keon Coleman. I'm gonna let you start.
I've just loved his Twitter stuff, like him being with the Bills and like Tiger wish he could. Like, his stuff is so funny. He's going to the crowd chamber and he's like, man, I'm gonna be in WWE. He just seems like a super fun guy. Like, I think he's gonna be good. I think he's gonna be better than Brian Thomas. I think Coleman, Ladd, and Worthy will be the next 3 guys after those top 3 guys. I think they have a chance to pass Odunze, if I'm being perfectly honest, this year because of their opportunity that they have. Coleman should be the one in that offense. I think Curtis Samuel's going to be a lot better than people think he will be this year. Khalil had a really good year last year. I think they're going to involve Kincaid a lot more just with him taking his second year, taking another step. Again, I'm going to bet on Josh Allen at that offense all day. So I think he's going to eat. He's a big receiver. He is a little bit of a boom bust guy. Is he just Gabe Davis where he has those 200-yard games and 3 touchdowns, and then the next 4 weeks he has a total of 80 yards? Maybe. He definitely could be that. But I think he'll be a better version of Gabe Davis.
Yeah, you nailed it to me. I think he's that next Gabe Davis. And you're right. He is a fun kid to kind of watch him on social media. Just got that likable attitude about him. Just kind of a carefree type of kid. Big kid. You're right. I think he is a boom bust from week to week. And he could get better. I think that is his floor as a boom bust from week to week and could get better as he gets more experience around him. But like him, Because of that boom bust, I think we have him at the end of round one. But you're right. He is in an offense that if you would have put Brian Thomas Jr. there, if you would have put Ladd there, you know what I'm saying? We would have liked a little bit better, but Coleman's a good fit. I think it's a lot of fun, and they just happened to get him at the end of round one there. So go get Coleman, fun kid, and worth the draft capital.
Yeah, for sure.
Into the round two, the mashed potatoes. Again, we love them. Get mashed potatoes; they're delicious, and we like Brooks. I think you and I both like Brooks in this Jaguar offense.
So are Brooks and Benson right next to each other in this tier?
I believe so.
Let's just talk about both of them. So Brooks going to the Panthers. I think just another Cowboys theory. Like, I could see the Cowboys maybe trading for Miles Sanders. He just was real bad last year, and I think Chuba was so much better than him. Jonathan Brooks is going to catch a ton of balls. I think we all got to remember that Dave Canales is coming over from the Bucks with Rachaad White, and Rachaad White caught a ton of balls. So that makes me super excited about Brooks. If you want to take Brooks or Benson in the first round and force the issue, because I think these are the only two running backs that have a legit shot at providing this year and the next 3 years after that, because they're both, one was second round pick, one's third round pick. I think they both can provide some value. Again, it might be late season. I don't know how Jonathan Brooks is going to come back from that torn ACL. They say he's on track to play in training camp. With Benson, him going to the Cardinals, I think that offense is going to be tough to defend because of that. I mean, they have Connor there already, who had a really good year. They had some sort of stat with the Cardinals where they had the best rushing percentage, success rate in the NFL, the last 6 weeks. So they were coming on late really well. So I'm gonna trust Benson and Brooks. Again, I would not bet an eye if you took either of those guys at the 108, 109, 110, 111. If you're feeling a little stressed about wide receivers, everybody in Dynasty is always looking for running backs. Again, you don't want to force the issue too much. They're not Bijan, they're not Jamar Gibbs, but I think they'll have a really good role in their offenses.
No, I agree. I 100% agree with you. You could have put these two guys at the end of round one. We got them at the beginning of round two just because of receiver heaviness. If these guys were absolutely starting out of the gate and they had we weren't super high on any of the running backs coming out, right? I mean, if Brooks didn't get injured, he would probably be clearly the number one running back coming out. But I agree with you. These two guys are it. Brooks, you're 100% going to get a ton of work in the passing game. And again, it's a future pick. I think he's just going to get more and more as the years go on, for sure. Benson, to me, when I look at what they're going to do with Connor and him, think of Detroit last year. It's going to be at first. It's going to be I took Benson. He's not getting the work, and he's maybe between the 20s, and the Connor's going to get the goal line work. We saw a little bit of that last year with Gibbs and Montgomery. It wasn't till mid-season where Montgomery got hurt a little bit, and then Gibbs started getting more of the work. I think that roadmap that roadmap's the same to me when I look at it. So
I love that comparison. That's such a good comparison.
I just see that coming down the road. So anyway, I love them both. I will be trying to get them, at least a piece of them in all my leagues for sure. So
yep.
Penix, the mysterious Penix. We both love Penix. I know you didn't at first. We talked about it at our last show. But go ahead.
Oh man, Penix. It's funny because I keep seeing all this Twitter stuff about us trying to trade Kirk Cousins and how there's an out and all this stuff, and I'm like, we're not trading Kirk Cousins. Penix is he's a Jordan Love situation. If you want to bet on the talent, it's sit him. I think he's going to sit for 2 years. That's the minimum. That's just how the contract works with Kirk Cousins. I think he's going to be really good. I mean, that's just me coming up. That's just me as a Falcons fan. I hope he's really good. We deserve a quarterback. If you're trying to wait and you are a rebuilding team, then maybe take a shot at him again. I probably wouldn't, because every year I just try to win. Like I'm just trying to go hard at it every time. So I'd probably take a wide receiver or somebody different in this place. But I think he'll be good in 2 years. Again, I don't want to wait 2 years. Like I want to be good now.
So Penix, I've looked and listened to a lot of pros and cons on this entire thing. In my opinion, this was an absolute marvelous move by the Falcons. They're playing chess and not checkers. And I'm serious on this one because I don't know. I think they always kind of wanted him, but they weren't sure. So I keep hearing this retro because hindsight's always 2020. I keep hearing that, oh man, the worst thing the Falcons did was get Cousins. I'm like, what are you talking about? What? No, that makes zero sense. You had no idea you were going to be on the Penix train. You had, by the time, right, you signed Cousins. You didn't know if he was going to be there. You didn't know if somebody was going to move up. You're sitting at 8 and he's right there and you're like, we love this kid. Then get him. Your quarterback situation is great for the next 8-9 years, best 10 years. You're like, great. We don't have to worry about it. Yes, at the minimum 2 years, he has to sit. I'm not so sure he's going to sit 2 years. There is a reasonable chance where he gets in certain situations, and if he dominates or Cousins gets hurt, all of a sudden you're looking at a Brady Bledsoe type thing. It's very plausible. We don't know until the season goes on and we go from there. Penix is a great pickup. I like him. I will try to get as many shares of him as I can in my dynasty leagues because if he sits for a year, so what? He is that talented. I know people look at the Michigan game, the championship game, and said, "Oh, he got beat up," and I'm like, yeah, he did get beat up, but he was out there fighting the whole way. He didn't ever give up in that game. I like him. He can throw for a ton, so I like Penix. Go get him here in the second round.
The thing on Penix, I feel like it's gonna be not to compare him to Mahomes because that's not what I'm doing, but like it's gonna be in practice where Kirk Cousins throws the ball and then Penix throws the ball, and those guys are gonna be like, what is that? It's gonna look so different. They're gonna look so different than each other. And like Matt was alluding, like I as a person that just loves to watch football in general and watch film, I just went back and watched Penix's best game, which was Texas game. And some of the balls he was throwing, it wasn't just like the balls that he was throwing. It's like Texas was sending 6 to 7 guys. It felt like every throw, every play, and he would just step up and just have no fear and just throw ropes to guys. Like I was baffled by some of the throws and like how much pressure he had on him because Texas's front was really good last year, and he was just not scared of anything. So.
Yep. Nope, I agree. Go get him here in the second round if you really need him and like what we're going. You can get him in the first round. I would be completely fine that and within a super flex. So, but we like him here in the second.
Let's talk about the next two, man.
Yep. We'll hit the next these two or just
okay. Yeah, those two. Let's hit both of these guys. Knicks, he's May. I feel the same way. I don't think he's going to be good. I'm just out on Knicks as a quarterback. I hate Sean Payton because I'm a Falcons fan. I don't think they have good options around him. I don't think he's going to be good. That's just my 2 cents. He had a really good interception to touchdown ratio. It was like 45-3, which is ridiculous in college football. Xavier Legette, I'll hit on a little bit too as well. His press conferences are awesome. Like good old country boy. Like just like his accent is so funny. Him staying in Carolina to be able to go play for the Panthers, I think it's gonna be fun. Again, I don't know how great he's gonna be just because you have Bryce Young throwing the ball at him. I just don't know how prolific that offense is going to be with Bryce. We just don't know what he is going to be. Like, if you want to take a shot at a boom bust guy, Xavier Leggett's that guy just because we don't know what Canales is going to be with him. Is he going to have some sort of revival with Bryce Young? Is Bryce Young going to look more like he was at Alabama? Again, I think Leggett and Mingos are a little bit similar to each other. So it'd be kind of interesting to play off those two. This is kind of where that cliff kind of drops off. After Leggett, I feel like with receivers, now you're just trying to take a little bit of fit and draft capital.
Yep. I won't go too far on either one of these guys. I like Bo Nix a little bit. I get it. you alluded to his pass percentage, which is really, really high. I think a third of those passes were behind the line of scrimmage. So, those are easy completions in college. I do like him. I think it's a good fit for Sean Payton, what he's after. I don't think he's an elite quarterback. He's, again, at best, he's going to be a QB2. It's nothing crazy. He does get his college wide receiver, which we'll talk a little about later. Don't expect a lot this first year, but maybe he can get better as he goes. If he doesn't improve a ton, I think it'd be easy for the Cowboys to move off of him. But I certainly think he'll be a decent QB2. Leggett, I'm not really high on. He's like, to me, it's okay. He could be the wide receiver 1 on a Panthers offense that he'll get some. He'll probably just have boom bust weeks would be my guess. But I'm not super high on Leggett. I would have liked him in a better location for sure, but we'll see how it goes. But you're right. He is a great kid to listen to on social media. So that's my 2 cents. I don't mind him at the 2. Again, you're taking a flyer on him in these 2nd, 3rd, 4th rounds. I'm like, okay, he's got a pretty good upside. We'll see how it goes. Yep. AD Mitchell, go ahead. You got him.
He's going to be competing pretty hard for targets. I do like how Chris Ballard came out and just had his back. Maybe that lights a fire in his butt a little bit to play all the plays that he needs to play again. He's going to be competing with Josh Downs and Michael Pittman. He's got a chance to be the one. I don't think it's very high. This is going to be a pretty run-heavy offense with Jonathan Taylor now, Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, another boom bust kid for me. Just don't know what's going to happen. He's worth a flyer. He's sitting there in that 2nd round. Like, okay, I like him. I don't think he's going to get. He's probably number 2 in that wide receiver room at best. So, but he is on a very good offense. So, definitely worth a flyer. We'll hit the next 2 here just for time's sake here, Justin. We're going to go, which I like. Oops, I'm going to end up one too many, I think. Yeah, Parasol and Wilson. I like both these kids. I do. They're fun. The hard part for Parasol is just being able to get on the field for the 49ers. I don't know what they're going to do with Debo or Ayuk. Tons of rumors out there. If you guys have been following it, makes a lot of sense. They talking about trade him, not trade him, trying to pay him. Ayuk's just frustrated, and the 49ers are just goofy for not just extending his contract because of the wide receiver market. It's been so inflated now, it's going to be hard to pay him. But they've backed themselves up here a little bit with Parasol, who is a great receiver. If in a different place, I think he would be a little bit higher, but that's okay. Roman Wilson, I really, really like. The Steelers have done in the past. They're really, really good about getting these wide receivers that we just don't know about that turn out really, really good. Antonio Brown, right, is one. So nobody knew much about him when he came out, and he dominated. So Wilson's one of those kids, and I think the quarterbacks that they have fit him really well. I think he ran a 4.3 at the combine, pretty quick kid. And so now you got Fields and Wilson throwing to him, and they both love to throw the deep ball. So good fit for him.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Pearsall's got a chance to be that wide receiver 2 of that offense. Again, you just don't know what there's going to happen there. I think I'd probably take a shot on him over Leggett just because that offense is a lot more consistent with Purdy back there. And like Matt alluded to, with the Steelers taking wide receivers, I just bet on that. They take good receivers. Deontay Johnson in the 3rd. Juju was really good when he started his career. Martavis Bryant was really good. Antonio Brown, Emmanuel Sanders, Mike Wallace, like they draft good. They just know what wide receivers. They just know what good ones look like. So I think take the shot on Roman Wilson in the 2nd is a good shot. I'll take that shot any day of the week in the 2nd round on Roman Wilson.
Perfect. Next 2, right? I had up there just a minute ago. And Lloyd. So both these guys are your backup guys. I think Wright ends up as the number 2 in Miami. I think he'll Mustard's like Mustard he's 108 years old. He is really old. He had a good season last year, but Wright, he's a big back and he's fast, fits that Miami offense really, really well. I like him. If you have if you need some running back depth, right? He's a great one to have. He'll be a boom bust guy, but he's going to be good. If you have Achan, go get him, back him up for sure. And then Lloyd makes a ton of sense. He was one of my favorite running backs coming out. I really liked him. I like him in the second round spot.
Yeah, I think Lloyd's got a chance to be the best one in this whole draft class. Like, he's got a really good setup in Green Bay. Their starting running back has one more year left on
Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, where they can cut him and it's not a ton of money, then he can take over. They're all really young. Yeah. So if I'm going to take him back in the second round, it's probably going to be him. And if I stash him for a year, if he gets third down work, awesome. Yep. Jalen Wright is a very interesting one because a lot of his knocks were his vision coming out. He just hit wrong holes all the time. With the Miami offense, you don't really have to worry about that. It's just one cut and go. Yep. And he probably hit a couple home runs just because he's a freak like that. Again, I think he's a replacement for Mostert. I think him and Achan will split that backfield. So I think Lloyd has a lot more upside.
Yep. And again, it's probably mid-season. Don't expect anything right out of the gate, but by mid-season and whatnot, especially if they get things going, which would be pretty cool. So next two guys, Corum and Polk. We've talked a little bit about these two, but go ahead.
Blake Corum, me and Matt were talking beforehand. If you have Kyren Williams, go get Corum. Go get him immediately. Kyren Williams was a 5th-round draft pick. If you guys have done any type of research with running backs that get drafted anywhere after on day 3, rounds 4 through 7, they just don't get second contracts. They're not heavily invested in them. Again, I know they took Blake Corum in the 3rd or 4th round. I can't remember. But there's no – Kyron's in his last year. Maybe Corum is that guy next year. He's going to get some run this year. Again, he is a second half of the season type of guy. I think he's a good bet to bet on with these running backs. I'm super excited about these like second-tier running backs more than I am these second-tier wide receivers. With Polk, he should be the one, but it's in a bad offense. So I'll take that. Like, if you're the one in the offense, you're going to get a lot of targets. You're going to get a lot of volume from Drake May or Jacoby Brissett, whoever that is. So I like him a lot as a shot to be the number one in a bad offense.
Yep. So I agree with you, and I'm going to back up to Corum a little bit. Corum being his draft capital is higher than Kyron's. Look, Kyron, as I think he was 5th round. I'm pretty sure he was a 5th round back, 4th, 5th, somewhere in there. He essentially got Akers out of LA, right? He just took an advantage. I didn't like Kyron coming out. I thought he was too slow. But he proved a lot of people wrong. He had a chip on his shoulder, went and got it done. Corum and Kyron are very similar. The only difference is Kyron is got NFL experience now. And McVay loves him. And so they go out and get a backup. You know, that's the idea. Bring in, say, hey, we got 2 backs that are the same. And it might be a 60-40 split, 70-30 split coming out of the year. I do like Corum. I think he runs hard. He gets after it. If he wouldn't have got hurt, he would have, not last year, but the year before, he probably would have came out the year before. But he lands in a great spot in that McVay offense. You have to handcuff him. That is I can't give you any better advice with Corum. If you have Kyron, go get Corum. It's that should be one of your top priorities. Polk, you're 100% right. It's a rebuild. I don't think New England was on Polk at all in the draft. I think what happened was because they didn't really move up to really get a receiver. But the Washington wide receivers coach, or Washington, I think he was wide receivers coach at Washington, is now in New England. And so they were like, hey, you need to go get this kid. Because I think, Justin, you were the one who told me this the other day that Polk is he was a leader in that Washington locker room.
They had those 3 guys that got drafted. They always asked the wide receivers coach, like, who's the guy in that room? And everybody assumes it's a Doomsday just because of the talent. But they said, hey, Polk is the leader in that room. Yeah. Like, he leads that thing.
And that's what they need. They need a wide receiver leader in that group because they're all pretty young. So both of those are good at that second round. I have no problems with you going up and get Corum earlier if you have Kyron. So keep that in mind. But Polk is another great second round guy that we both believe in, and it all depends on what happens with May. But he's an excellent receiver. So Next two guys, and we're going to get into the potato salad again. This is not your grandma's potato salad, but it's like, okay, they'll do. It'll be okay. Interesting, but the first two guys are just Burton and Sanat.
So Matt, can we just show the whole tier here, and we can
absolutely.
We can just touch on a few guys that we think that are going to be those guys, or kind of my guys, or guys that I think that are going to stand out. So I'll just touch on a few. I think me and Matt share a few of the same sentiments towards some of these guys, and totally feel something different about a couple of them. So Burton is the first one. He's a super boom bust guy. With T. Higgins' future not necessarily sure, I would take a shot on Burton in the third round. I think he's got a real good shot to be a wide receiver too. Again, he's never going to be the one with Chase there. Sinet is a guy that I like. I really think he is your tight end too. And going in with JD5, I think they can form a pretty good duo back there. And then my last one is Gerardo. Christian McCaffrey, I don't know how many more years he has left. Shanahan, again, he always takes running backs. So I'm going to take a shot, and hopefully a lot of people have compared him to Elijah Mitchell, who was the backup to Christian McCaffrey. So I would take a shot on him. I'll take shots on running backs just because they're really hard to get, especially Dynasty. So
yeah, you broke up there just for a second, Justin.
On which one? What's I talking about?
On you said you would take a shot on the second on the or running back here, and then you cut out.
So Gerardo would be the guy that I take a shot on, just because running backs are so hard to find in Dynasty, and I'm going to trust Kyle Shanahan with his running back evaluation. Again, you might not get anything out of him, but most of the time you don't get a lot out of your thirds. Chris McCaffrey, I don't know how many more years he has. He was super healthy last year, which doesn't happen a lot for him as a whole. So that's the guy I would take a shot on in this tier.
Yeah, I think I'm not gonna go too far off what your guy, but there are some guys that I like. I think you just have to understand where they're at. Burton's a very talented player. He probably would have been a lot higher off the field concerns, but that's okay here nor there. Keep an eye on him. I do like Sanat. If you have JD5, if you somehow get JD5, I would late round get Sanat. He is a very talented, athletic tight end who scored really well. So again, keep him in your back pocket. Corley is your yak king, your yak monster, which we saw him, right? We talked about him earlier. He is now with the Jets. The reason why we have him in the potato salad, right, arena is because Aaron Rodgers doesn't typically like his rookie wide receivers. However, it's a possibility that if he gets going and he is opposite of Wilson in that slot, right, that in that slot area, and you have Hall in the backfield, I can see him as a 40 to 50 receiving yards, maybe 800 and 4 touchdowns, which is serviceable right out of the gate. But keep that in your back pocket. There's no guarantees with him.
Some useless information too, Matt, is Corley is staying in Aaron Rodgers' guest house.
Yes. Well, I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, he is. So he is trying really hard to get tied in with Aaron Rodgers, which is incredibly important.
Super funny.
So. One of my favorite players, and it's unfortunate he's on this team, but I love him, and it's this next player's Baker. I love Javon Baker. He came out and said, "There's no way 10 receivers are better than I am. It's impossible." And he is on a New England offense, which is like, right? He's here with May. Right, and he's there with Polk, but you have to remember he played in Alabama behind some very elite talent while there. That's why he transferred out. But once he went to his new college, right, he tore it up last year. Had a great run. He is an intriguing prospect. Keep him in your back pocket for sure. If he's there in late rounds, scoop him up. Garindo, I'm not going to touch on him. You nailed it on that. I'm not big on Franklin in with Knicks, even though we talked about they're now partnered together where they were teammates in Oregon, but I'm kind of off Franklin. Davis and Estime and Allen are all interesting. Rice is a guy that I think could be sneaky good. He's a 6th round draft pick for the Chargers. maybe seventh. Yeah, maybe seventh.
So far.
He's way down there, but he's a good wide receiver. It would not surprise me if he ends up being the wide receiver one over Ladd. But if you put those two together,
that is a bold take.
I'm serious.
You're all about it.
Watch him run his routes. Yeah, no. I think Rice is a kid that works very hard. He's going to be one of those kids that just works hard and grinds, and he's going to get better. He's probably not going to do much year one. I'll admit that, but he is worth a late round flyer for sure. Anything to add on Davis or Estime? Like Allen's tough. Allen's going to be pushed down in that.
I wouldn't touch Allen because they drafted 2 running backs and they have Brees. Davis is a guy I would stash if you get him. If you have a bunch of thirds, I would just stash him because he's in not a very good backfield with James Cook, and there's nothing really in there, and he is a big back, which it feels like Buffalo is always trying to force the issue with we need a big back, and they just haven't got lucky. So he's a guy that I might stash. Other than that, not a lot of guys here that I love.
Yeah. If you draft them, you right, put them on your, you love them, right? Put them on your taxi squad and see how they do for a year. And if nothing pans out, you can easily cut them. So we're going to get our tater tots, right? Hey, you can't go wrong with tater tots. It's quick. It's not your favorite, but you're like, okay, I'll put them on my squad. So I'm going to just put all these up and we'll run through them, Justin.
Very different about that, man. She's all about the tater tots, man.
All about the tater tots.
All about the tater tots.
I didn't say they're bad. I just said, I'd rather have a loaded baked potato.
I get it. I gotcha. All right. So the one guy, I guess there's 2 guys that I really want to touch on.
There we go.
Is Jalen McMillan, another Washington guy. I know. Love the Washington guys. I think he's got a shot. I think he's got a shot to be the 2 with Chris Godwin got maybe 1 year left. He just has so many big plays at Washington where I feel like every other friggin' play was a 40-yard touchdown to him. The next guy is Tyrone Tracy. There is absolutely nothing in the Giants' backfield. You have Devin Singletary, who was good last year with the Texans. Nothing crazy, but I feel like Tyrone Tracy could go take that job. He could be like a Dameon Pierce and just take someone's job that got drafted really late and just go play halfway well and have a 1,000-yard season and surprise a little bit. Maybe you trade off of it again because those late round guys don't really have a lot of draft capital in them. So those are the 2 guys that I'd probably look for in the 4th round is be taking a flyer on.
Yeah, depending on your draft or your team construct, I could take a flyer on any of these guys. You kind of touched on the ones that very similar. I think Shipley with the Eagles could be interesting. He's a good running back. You're gonna call me crazy, but keep an eye on Rattler. If for some reason Carr goes down, right, and I'm not impressed with Carr because I have him on my draft or my dynasty team. But if he goes down, I think he's serviceable, and he very well could take over that offense. But again, we're talking 4th. It's a tater tot, right? And sometimes those tater tots get overcooked. But keep that in mind. My favorite player out of this whole bottom is Vidal. And if you don't know who he is, you need to, because he's the running back on the Chargers squad. And he's young, he's fast, and I don't like any of the other running backs on the Chargers squad. He was a later round pick, but he's a kid that I have no problems picking him in round 4, put him on my taxi squad just to see what happens. Comes from a small school, runs hard, athletic kid. So, and then the other 2 guys, Sanders, if you need a tight end, I don't know what will happen with him, but he's talented. And then Jordan Travis. Jordan Travis is your quarterback that's backing up Aaron Rodgers. He has a golden opportunity to learn from Aaron Rodgers. And remember, this is a kid out of Florida State who had an ACL injury that ended the draft. His draft stock just tanked after the injury. He's a good quarterback. He's athletic as all get out. And I think the Jets have just taken a flyer on him for sure. So, and I think Jets also have they have a backup wide receiver or backup quarterback, and running guy. Oh, I can't remember off the top of my head, but he's got no quarterback. Jets have a quarterback behind Aaron Rodgers. You would. It's like, oh yeah, he's been a journeyman. But I like Jordan Travis here. He is, to me, is worth a late round pick. Put him on your
Tyrod Taylor.
Squad. Yep, Tyrod Taylor. That's who they'll go to if something happens to Aaron Rodgers, which was better than Zach Wilson anyway. But I think Jordan Travis is a guy that put him in your let's just put him on your taxi squad and see what happens. I do like him. All right. We just cover a lot of players here in the last hour, so hopefully they're all decent. The one thing I can tell you, and Justin and I have talked about this, Dynasty rankings are hard because you just don't know. Everybody's got their own this, that, or the other. We can break them down into tiers, which we've done for you. But if you like a player, if you're like, nah, I like this, I encourage you, go get them. Don't let the tiers break it down for you. You'll see it on Sleeper or whatever other platform you're drafting on. But if you like a guy, go get him. And especially when you get to rounds 2, 3, and 4, because it kind of doesn't matter to some degree. Unless you're trading the pick. But if you like a guy, he's like, yep, that fits me. Go get him, go get him. It's your team, and fantasy football is meant to be fun. That's all I have to say about that. Anything to add just before we move on next?
So with your drafts coming up again, make sure you have enough spots for your draft picks, but also make sure you have enough for those waivers that you might want to add as well.
Good call.
And me and Matt always talk about this because he has a ton of picks and I don't. Like, there is a real thing with FOMO. So if you don't like anybody in the third, if you don't like anybody in the fourth, like, don't be surprised. Like, hey, I'll trade you this year's third and you give me a second next year. Like, stuff like that happens all the time in the draft. Like, you can get serviceable guys for your third and fourth round draft picks. If you're like, hey, I don't like any of these guys. I don't want to have guys that are just middling on my roster. I want to have guys that contribute. So that's a big thing. Just like have those ready to go. Like, talk trades during your draft, and again, like, make sure you have your open spots ready to pick up those guys on your roster after the draft.
Yep. And fantasy draft or dynasty drafts are going on right now. These rookie drafts, right? They are hot and heavy. People are getting into them. So we're just trying to give you guys some insight of what we think would benefit you guys. Try to break it down, keep it simpler. Moving forward, we're going to get into some dynasty redraft stuff. We're going to get into or dynasty startup, and we're going to get into the redraft stuff, and we're going to try to break it down for you. Who do we like in what rounds? Because draft capital matters a lot in those startups and those redrafts. That's big. So, and then we'll have some trades coming up. We'll have some trade advice. So, anyway,
love trades. So I looked up some trades on just Reddit. Just was kind of interested in.
Yeah, let's do it.
Me and Matt just go over a few of them since we used a lot of time to talk about those players. So this first one is Nico Collins for the 109 in a PPR league. Non-Superflex, 1 QB league. Talk us through your thoughts here, Matt.
Nico Collins for the 109. And you said this is for
1 quarterback league. Superflex. One quarterback league, PPR.
And Nico right now in redraft or startup, I guess I should say startup, is going in the, I'd have to look it up. Probably 5th round. Is he that, or like 3rd round?
Something like that.
And we're going to get at the 109 in rookie redraft. We were saying somebody like
Ladd or Keon.
Ladd, Keon, or one of the 2 running backs, right?
Yep.
If I need a wide receiver right now, I'm gonna take Nico. Give me the Nico over the 109. I'll take that all day. Now, if I need a running back like desperately,
you're gonna try that.
I might try to trade back. See what I'm saying? I might try to trade back and get Brooks, depending on what, you got to know your league, got to know who's in it, and try to get Brooks or Benson. But yeah, I like Nico there. I'll take Nico all day.
Okay, Rashee Rice or the 210 PPR. 1 quarterback league.
I want nothing to do with Rashee Rice. How about you? I want nothing at all. You couldn't give me. I'm not taking him for anything. You could give me a 4th rounder. I'm not taking him. I'm completely off of that.
I'm probably gonna take Rashid Rice because I'm a bet man. I like the boot bust stuff.
You're like, yeah, it's possible. I just want nothing to do with you.
I'll take it. All right, the 105, the 109, JSN for Marvin Harrison. This is a one quarterback league, PPR.
So we get Marvin Harrison, and you get who was the JSN, and what were the picks?
105 and 109.
So if I give up Marvin Harrison, I get JSN. I might get a Dunze at the 105.
I don't think so.
I mean, you're gambling, right? But because he might go top 3.
It's probably Xavier Worthy or Brock Bowers, and then a running back.
I wish I knew what my wide receivers were. Because if I have somebody like, I've already got Justin Jefferson, or I've got Lamb, maybe, but I'm probably gonna go Marvin Harrison. I'm probably gonna keep Marvin Harrison here.
That's what I'm gonna take too.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I like JSN. I think JSN is going to increasingly get better and better. I mean, he actually, he had over 1,000 yards receiving last year, and you wouldn't have thought about it?
No.
Yeah. It's like, you would not have thought that. I'm going to double check that, but I'm almost positive. He was he was really quiet. Oh, I lied to you. I lied to you. It was
7.
He was 628 for 400. I thought he had 1,000 yards last year, but I'm actually expecting 1,000 yards this year. So we'll see.
He's a tough one. All right, this is what I talked to a lot of people about. Okay, the 101 for either these 3 players. Would you trade the 101 for Jamar Chase?
No.
Would you trade the 101 for Justin Jefferson?
No.
Would you trade the 101 for CeeDee Lamb?
No, because I don't know what's going to happen with that. I don't know what's going to happen next year with Dak. I think I'm keeping, and this is assuming I'm taking Marvin Harrison Jr. in that offense.
I would take Chase and Jefferson for the 101. 100%.
I guess if you're, I guess if you're trying to win right now, if you've got to hey, I need to win now. But if you've got the 101, either your team's really bad or you've traded into that and you're trying to, win right now. You're in that mid tier and traded up. So
all right.
I just like Marvin Harrison.
Last PPR one, one quarterback league. So the 303 for either of these 3 players, Algier. Would you rather have the 303 or Algier?
I'm just looking who's at the 303. Give me the 303 and I'll try to package it. No, oh man, that's a tough one.
I would take the 303.
Well, here's my thought behind it. My thought was if I get Algier, can I package him to the Bijan owner and get something out of it? Right. That was my thought. So I think you're right.
Another trade. Those are tough.
Yeah. Give me the 303.
Okay, the 303 or Zach Charbonnet.
That's the same thing.
All very similar. I would take Charbonnet.
I would just treat it like the same. I'd probably go ahead and give me the 303, but I could take Charbonnet and try to navigate that up. I'm just worried about Seattle's running game. We were kind of frustrated last year with it. So,
all right, similar situation. Tank Bigsby or the 303.
I'll give me Tank. I like
really.
Tank. Yeah, give me Tank Bigsby. Give me Tank Bigsby.
That's tough one for me. All right, Superflex one. Kyler Murray. This is relevant for us because we've been talking Kyler Murray trade a little bit recently.
Yes, we did.
Or the 103 in the Superflex.
Kyler Murray.
Really?
Yeah. Just what he's got going on right now. I would take Kyler Murray, the 103.
I did not think you were going to say that.
I'll take. However, I don't know that I would do a straight across on that, but I might want a little bit more. If I want Kyler Murray, if I'm trading it, I wouldn't trade Kyler Murray for the 103. As much as I love JD5, because I think that's where he falls, right? Unless if JD5 is off the board, if it went like Williams and JD5, certainly I can't, right? I definitely want Murray, but if I have Murray, I'm not trading for the 103 because there's nobody there that I like.
Gotcha. That makes sense. All right. This one's a really easy for me. This is Superflex again. Hurts, Jalen Hurts, or Herbert in the 111.
I want every bit of Hurts as I can get. That offense is going to be crazy.
I
love him, man. I think he let a lot of people down last year, and I know it was the old tush push and all that crap. And now Kelsey's gone, and they're not going to be able to do it. And I disagree. I think they're going to be every bit as good. And you got to remember who their OC is. Remember, we are a big fan of Kellen Moore coming from Boise State. So, and I think he's a very good offensive coordinator. People will argue with me. He's like, we didn't do anything with the Chargers last year. I was like, that was just an awful. Their
head coach wasn't very good.
Yeah. And, it's like, well, he didn't do much with Dallas. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He did awesome with Dallas. He really got that going.
Like the last 3 years or something like that.
And on top of that, McCarthy's like, we got to run the ball more, and then turned around and threw it every much as much as Kellen did. So, and they were a very prolific offense last year.
I would take Herbert in the 111 because I'm a
you would.
I'm a Herbert guy.
Okay. Where do you think Herbert ends up? Do you think he's a top 15 guy this year?
Oh yeah. I think he's top 12, maybe even top 8.
Oh no,
I got a lot of faith in Herbert.
I love Herbert. Man. He might be below top 15. I don't know. He might not make it. So it's hard to say.
All right. The 107 or Tua and a Superflex.
Ooh. That is a tough one. That's a really good one. If Tua is my number 3 or Tua is my number 2, depends on where it's at, but I'm probably taking Tua. I'm probably keeping Tua here, depending on where he's at, and that makes me nervous. It makes me nervous keeping him. But offense is really good, but it takes one hit and he's done. It depends on what the depth is. If I've got depth at quarterback, even somebody's suspect, right? Even if I've got
Derek Carr. Derek Carr is your number 2 quarterback right now.
Well, he'd be my number 3 in that, right? Because I'm going to put Tua over Carr. And I know if I can get Penix, I'm okay with it. I'll take it. Yeah. That's how much I love Penix, man. I'll take it. I would do it. I'm bold like that. I'm going to bury my team. I really do think Penix starts within a year.
I hope you're right.
And he's going to tear it up. So
I'm scared to death. All right, last one. Ladd and Malik Neighbors for Marvin Harrison.
Probably keeping Marvin Harrison.
Yeah.
And I don't want to beat Ladd up. We know Neighbors is going to be good. Just give him some time. He just went to a horrible spot, but he'll get peppered, like we already said. I really like Ladd too, so don't get me wrong, but I just worry about that offense. If we're talking non-fantasy and we are just looking at football, I love the kid, but fantasy is like, I don't know. I think
you could fall out, but that's that Herbert love that I have.
Yeah, Herbert's good. I mean, he threw for less. He didn't throw for 4,000 yards last year, right? You knew that, right?
I don't think so.
It was like 3,700, 3,400 or something like that. It wasn't very many. That offense was so bad. So bad. I want to say 34 and change.
Brandon Staley's not a good coach.
No. So.
All right. Those are all the trades I got.
No, great, man. We've been here for an hour and 20 minutes. I think moving forward, Justin, we'll do some more mock drafts coming up. Man, we are wishing you guys all the best. Be sure to like the stream. Get in here when we're live. We'll start posting some things more. We're going to start going live on Instagram soon. The website's coming up and it's getting there. So We're just trying to have fun with this more than anything else, helping you guys win your leagues. That's what it's all about. More than anything else is the bragging rights. If nothing else, bragging rights is the best fantasy football.
Exactly.
You want to? You can also follow us on Spotify, I believe, right, Justin? We're in Spotify.
Sure.
Go in there and listen to our takes.
That's how my wife listens to us.
That's great. Yeah, jump on with us live, like the stream. We want to answer your questions. Put something in a comment. We want you guys' input. We'd love to answer questions or banter back and forth or whatever that may look like. We certainly just want you guys to win your league. So I think with that, tomorrow is Revenge of the 5th. After May the 4th be with you. So I think we are out of here. Justin, anything to add before we take off?
Nope. Just enjoy your drafts. It's a fun season to draft with your rookie drafts. Super fun. Hopefully we'll start getting into just regular redrafts with regular fantasy football. So.
Yep. And we're gonna, like I said, we've got our rankings. We kind of went through them for the rookie stuff, but we'll get our rankings out to you guys soon. Breaking that down. We'll get a sleeper picks out there, letting you guys know where they're going, all based off ADP. Our busts, our guys, we're not touching with a 40-foot pole. So we'll get that out to you guys soon on our next our next go live. We would like to do this more than just once a week. If we can do twice a week, it gets a little challenging for us, but I think going live more often is a lot more fun. But until then, man, go dominate your leagues. We got one here in about an hour and a half before we do our rookie draft we're excited about. So other than that, I think we're out. I guess until next time, Justin.
Sir.
All right. We'll see you guys. Have a wonderful weekend and catch you next week.